Jovovich stars as the 15th century French heroine in The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc. Milla, welcome back. Good to have you here.
It's great to be back.
This is one of the most famous stories in history. So many people know who Joan of Arc is, but perhaps don't know all the intricacies to the story. How much did you know about it before you did it?
You know, I think probably as much as anybody else, what I learned in school, TV specials, collector plates, you know, but mostly I just knew that this girl fought in the name of God. She had voices, and then she was killed. I was never sure who killed her, because to think that her own country burned her was so beyond me. I just didn't understand.
You actually went back and you read some of the transcripts from her trial before the ecclesiastical court. Yeah. What did you find out in those transcripts that surprised you?
Well, that was pretty much the basis of her whole character, or how we represent her on screen. I'd never really seen, after reading the transcripts, something real on screen before of her, because these transcripts were so alive. I mean, when you read this, you see this girl that says the craziest things sometimes, and is so impulsive and so perceptive. And
so a more human side to her than the saint that you had learned about in school.
Definitely. She really jumped out. It was so evident. Her personality was so real. And that's sort of what we tried to convey through this movie, was what we felt through these transcripts of this girl, what she actually said. It's amazing. Because sometimes you see movies of her and she's so detached, and she's always thinking. And to me, this girl doesn't think. I mean, you read her transcripts and you're like, don't say that. What are you doing?
She's reacting to some kind of impulse, some voice from within.
Yeah.
This is not an easy role. I mean, this is not a role for an actress who doesn't like to get dirty and muddy and bloody and have bad hair days.
That's
I mean,
me.
this had to be a very difficult role to shoot.
It was a lot of work, that's for sure. But to me personally, doing that sort of work where you're so creative and have to be so in tune and in touch with a lot of different people, and trying to create a human being out of such a historical creature, it was just a pleasure. It was so amazing. It was just such an exciting period of my life.
By the end of the story, did you form a personal opinion as to whether Joan of Arc was truly hearing voices from God, or was she just someone hearing her own voice and deciding on her own impulses?
You know what it is for me is the fact that whether she heard voices or not isn't the point. The point to me is you cannot fight or make war in the name of God. That seems ridiculous, and it's a strange paradox that religion has had all through the ages. And that was the main thing we wanted to talk about in this movie, was this strange dark side of Joan of Arc. The fact that she's a warrior, but she's a saint, a warrior saint, which in itself is such a contradiction.
In terms.
So that was this really strange twist to her life that I'd never really heard talk of, and saying this girl's responsible for so much murder, and now she's a saint. She was only made a saint in 1928 for other political reasons. I mean, she was constantly recycled politically and used by governments all across the world, not only her own.
I want to mention that when I said welcome back to you in the beginning, this movie is something that you're here to talk about. You've done other movies, and we've talked about those, but I wanted to show you a tape from 1988 when you first appeared on the Today Show at 12 years old.
Great.
Now, your mother, in her own right, is a famous Soviet actress. Is that correct? What is her name?
Galina Loganova.
And she left the Soviet Union with your father. Yugoslavian physician, is this correct?
Yes.
All right. That must have been difficult for her to leave behind a career in films. Does she have great dreams for you?
Yes, she does.
What are they?
She wants me to become an actress just like she was, and also a very big model, I think.
And do you share that dream?
Yes, I do.
A precocious little kid. Have the dreams come true?
Oh, God, some of them. Working on it, that's for sure. It's a work in progress all the time. Can you imagine? I was 12 years old. What poise. I can't believe it. I'm more immature now than I was then.
You had your sights set on.
And I had no teeth either. That's why I'm not smiling. I'm only going, Because I had flippers.
Good to have you here. It's called The Messenger. Come back and see us soon. We're back after this.